about summer, I mean, really picture it. What's the one piece of food that comes to mind? For me, it's the strawberry.
Oh, absolutely. It's the heart of the picnic basket.
Yeah.
That perfect, sweet, bright red reward.
It just seems to represent, I don't know, a kind of simplicity, a pure, straightforward sweetness. It's what you give someone to symbolize love or what you put on top of a cake to make it perfect.
It feels foundational.
Yeah.
Like it's always been there exactly as it is. It's so common, so ubiquitous that we assume it's simple.
And that, of course, is the perfect setup for one of our deep dives. Because as soon as we started looking into the sources on Fragaria, that's the strawberry scientific genus.
The story just completely unraveled.
It did. Our sources basically screamed one thing. This iconic, universally beloved item is, well, it's a botanical lie. It's a master of disguise.
And our mission today is to uncover that disguise. We're going to peel back the layers on this thing you think you know so well. We're talking surprising botany, secret international espionage.
Espionage for a strawberry.
Oh, yes. And the complex genetic journey that actually created the fruit that's sitting in your fridge right now. We have to kind of reconcile what we think a strawberry is with what it actually is.
Okay, well, we're not going to bury the lead. Let's get right to the core contradiction, the thing that will change how you look at a strawberry forever.
Here it is, the big aha moment right from the botanical textbooks. There are two of them, really.
Shocking fact number one, the strawberry is not a berry.
At all. Not even a little bit.
And shocking fact number two, which is maybe even more of a mind bender.
The sweet, red, fleshy part that you eat, the part you think of as the strawberry, that's not technically the fruit.
It's basically a case of mistaken identity on a massive global scale. So let's start right there. Let's dive into that classification. Why isn't it a berry?
We have to start with the rules. And in botany, the rules are very, very strict. It's not like in the kitchen where, any small squishy fruit is a berry.
Right. I know we call raspberries and blackberries berries, but I've heard they aren't either.
Exactly. That's a whole other deep dive, maybe. But for a fruit to be a true berry, scientifically, it has to meet a very specific set of criteria.
And what's the main one?
The main rule is that it has to develop from the single ovary of a single flower. And as that ovary ripens, its wall becomes the entire fleshy part of the fruit that surrounds the seeds.
So it's one self-contained unit, ovary becomes fruit, end of story.
Precisely. Think about a grape or a blueberry. When you slice it open, you're cutting through what used to be the ovary wall. The seeds are inside. It's a neat, tidy package. Even a tomato is a true berry.
A tomato is a berry. I always forget that one. An avocado too, right?
An avocado is technically a giant, single-seeded berry. But again, the structure holds. It's all developed from one single ovary. Simple and direct.
Okay, so that structural purity, that's where the strawberry just immediately runs into a wall.
It fails the test spectacularly. It's built completely differently, right from the flower stage. And that's why it gets this other classification. We call it a false fruit.
A false fruit. Or I think I saw the term accessory fruit in the sources.
Yes, that's the more technical term, accessory fruit. And it tells you everything you need to know right in the name. It means the part we eat relies heavily on accessory tissues that are not from the ovary.
So the main event, the part we actually want to eat, is an accessory. It's an add-on.
It is. It's an add-on that completely took over the show. And that matters so much scientifically because it points to a totally different evolutionary strategy. The plant is making a deliberate choice.
A choice to invest all its energy, all its sugar, into something other than its actual reproductive part, the ovary.
Exactly. And that gets us to the core of the betrayal.
Mm.
What is that red, fleshy part if it isn't the fruit?
Right, let's break it down. I'm holding a strawberry. I know the red part isn't the ripened ovary, so what part of the original flower am I actually eating?
You are eating the massively enlarged receptacle.
The receptacle. Okay, that sounds like a piece of lab equipment. What on earth is the receptacle?
So picture the strawberry flower before it becomes a fruit. You have the stalk, and at the very tip of that stalk is a kind of swollen little platform, a little dome.
Okay.
That platform is the receptacle. Its only job is to hold all the important parts of the flower, the petals, the stamens, and this is the key part, all of the many tiny separate ovaries.
Ah, so it has more than one ovary. It's not one big one. It's dozens of tiny ones sitting on this platform.
Dozens of them.
Yeah.
Now, in a normal plant, after fertilization happens, that receptacle would just wither away. It's done its job. The ovary, or ovaries, would swell up and become the fruit.
But not in the strawberry.
In the strawberry, something wild happens. When the flower gets pollinated, a hormonal signal is sent out, but it doesn't just tell the ovaries to get growing. It tells the receptacle to get growing
So the platform itself starts to swell up.
massively. It goes through this process of hyperplasia and hypertrophy. Basically, the cells start dividing and expanding like crazy. It inflates with water and sugar, turns bright red, and becomes the juicy thing we know and love. The tiny ovaries just kind of sit on the surface for the ride.
That is just, it's so counterintuitive. Why would a plant evolve to do that? Why pour all your resources into the support structure instead of the actual fruit?
It's an act of evolutionary genius, really. It's all about dispersal. Think about it. The strawberry has, say, 50 to 200 tiny little ovaries.
Right.
If it tried to turn each one of those into a tiny, individual, fleshy fruit, you'd end up with this weird, lumpy, unappealing cluster.
Yes.
Nothing big and attractive that an animal would grab in one bite.
That's by swelling up the receptacle underneath them.
It creates one giant, unified, highly visible, super attractive beacon. It's like building a giant, flashy serving platter for a bunch of tiny little appetizers. The platter is what gets all the attention.
That is an amazing analogy. So the plant concentrates all the good stuff, the sugar, the color, the aroma, into the accessory tissue, the platter, to make absolutely sure some bird or mammal will come along, eat the whole thing.
And carry away the actual fruits without even noticing. It's a shortcut that prioritizes the lure over the payload.
So when I eat a strawberry, I'm not eating the seed vessel. I'm eating the advertisement for the seed vessel, the billboard.
You're eating the billboard, a delicious, sweet billboard designed to be consumed.
Okay, my mind is officially rewired. The red flesh is the receptacle.
So that takes us to the second part of this reveal. We have to find the true fruits.
Right. If the red part is just an accessory, the fruits have to be somewhere. And we're so used to looking inside for seeds or a core, like in an apple or a peach.
But the strawberry, again, just flips that whole script upside down. You don't look inside.
You look right on the surface.
And once you know what you're looking for, you can't miss them. Those little yellow-green speckles embedded all over the outside. Everyone thinks they're seeds. I thought they were seeds for most of my life. But botanically, they're not. Each one of those little speckles is a complete true fruit.
Okay, so they have a proper scientific name. What are they called?
Each one is called an achene.
A sheen.
Yes. And an achene is a very specific type of fruit. It's a simple, dry fruit, and its key feature is that it contains a single seed that's locked inside a tough outer wall that doesn't split open.
So if I were to, I don't know, scrape one of those little yellow things off the surface and put it under a microscope, I'd see a tiny fruit wall, and inside that, I'd find the actual seed.
That's exactly right. You are holding a complete, self-contained, single-seeded fruit. And a strawberry has hundreds of them studded all over its fleshy receptacle.
Can you give us another example of an unchained just to help sort of place it?
Sure. The seed you eat from a sunflower, that's actually an achene. The hard shell is the fruit wall, and the kernel inside is the seed. Or, the little feathery things that fly off a dandelion. Each one of those is an achene attached to its little parachute. So it's a common fruit type. But the strawberry strategy of wearing them on the outside of a big fleshy pedestal is what's so unique.
Which is why you always hear that phrase, right? The strawberry is the only fruit that wears its seeds on the outside.
It's a great line because it's both visually true and botanically fascinating.
Yeah.
Although, to be super precise, it's wearing its fruits on the outside and the seeds are inside them.
Right. A crucial distinction. And this design, it's not just for looks, it's highly functional.
Hugely functional. In a peach, the plant puts a ton of energy into building that hard, stony kit around the seed for protection. The strawberry doesn't have to bother.
Why not?
Because the achenes are already tough little packages. They're small, they're hard, they're dry. They're designed to be swallowed whole and to survive a trip through an animal's digestive tract.
So the animal is lured in by the sweet red receptacle, it eats the whole thing, and the achenes just pass right through.
They pass right through. Their smooth, hard outer wall helps them survive the journey, and then they get deposited far away from the parent plant, complete with their own little pile of, fertilizer.
It's just a remarkably efficient system. The plant outsources its dispersal work perfectly.
It's an incredible piece of natural engineering.
And I think that's a perfect way to transition from the biological ingenuity of the plant to the human ingenuity behind it. Because the strawberry in the supermarket today isn't just this botanical marvel, it's a product of very recent history.
Yes. The story gets even more complex when we step out of the botany lab and into the historical record. The big, firm, perfectly red strawberry we all know is a modern invention. And it was born from, as our sources put it, international espionage and accidental brilliance.
I love that phrase. It sets the stage so well. So before this modern marvel, what were people in, say, Europe eating for centuries? What was the original strawberry like?
For millennia, the strawberry of Europe was a species called Fragaria vesca, the wild European strawberry, sometimes called the alpine strawberry. This is the one you see in old paintings and read about in Shakespeare.
And how does it stack up against what we have today?
Well, it had one huge advantage: the flavor. People who've tasted them say it's an incredibly intense, fragrant, almost perfumed experience. It's what modern breeders are constantly trying to get back into the big commercial varieties.
Okay, so amazing flavor, but there had to be a catch. Otherwise, we'd still be eating them.
A huge catch. Two, really. Size and yield. The fruits were minuscule. We're talking the size of your pinky fingernail. And the plants just didn't produce very many of them.
So trying to run a commercial farm with them would be a nightmare.
A complete non-starter. You'd spend all day harvesting just to fill a single basket. They were a wonderful treat if you found them in the woods or grew them in your garden, but they could never, ever support a large-scale industry or feed the growing cities of the 17th and 18th centuries.
So that created this powerful motivation, this commercial need. Europe needed a better strawberry, a bigger, stronger, higher-yielding one.
And that need launched a global search. Botanists and explorers who were already traveling the world for other reasons were now also on the lookout for new and improved plant genetics. And the key players, it turned out, were in the Americas.
Let's introduce them. There were two specific American species that held the genetic keys, right?
That's right. The first was from North America. It's called Fragaria virginiana, the Virginia strawberry. It's native to the eastern half of the continent.
What did it bring to the table?
It was a bit bigger than the European one and much hardier, more vigorous, but still the fruit itself was pretty small, so it brought toughness and resilience to the genetic party, but not size.
Okay, so that's one parent. The game changer, the one that brought the size, came from much further south.
Much further. That would be Fragaria chileensis, the Chilean strawberry. It grew along the Pacific coast of South America, especially in Chile. And this one was different.
How?
The fruits were huge by wild strawberry standards, shockingly large. And maybe even more importantly, they were firm. They could handle being picked and transported without turning to mush immediately.
That's the magic combination then, size and firmness. That's exactly what the European market was missing. So how did this plant from Chile make its way to a garden in France to start this whole revolution? This is where the spy comes in.
This is where the spy comes in. The story is completely tied to a French engineer, and yes, spy, named Amédée François Frisier.
A spy? What was his official mission? He wasn't sent there for fruit, I'm guessing.
Oh, not at all. It was the early 1700s, around 1712. He was sent to South America by the French government to map Spanish fortifications along the coasts of Chile and Peru. His job was military intelligence, plain and simple.
But he had a side hustle.
He had a hobby. He was a passionate amateur botanist. And while he was there doing his spy work, he saw the local Mapuche people cultivating these huge strawberries, the F. chiloensis. He was blown away. He'd never seen anything like it.
And he immediately saw the dollar signs, or the franc signs, I guess. He knew what a hit this would be back home.
He knew instantly. So he decided he had to get them back to France. But this wasn't easy. You couldn't just, mail order plants back then. Exporting potentially valuable natural resources was often forbidden.
So he had to smuggle them. It was genuine botanical espionage.
It absolutely was.
Yeah.
He couldn't just take seeds. He needed live plants. So he carefully selected several specimens, kept them alive on this incredibly long, dangerous sea voyage that took many, many months all the way back to France.
Just keeping them alive on that journey is a feat in itself.
Miracle, really.
Yeah.
He landed in Brest in 1714 with 5 live plants. 5. But this is where the story shifts from espionage to what the sources called accidental brilliance.
Because it wasn't smooth sailing from there. What was the problem? Why didn't France suddenly have giant strawberries everywhere?
The problem was all 5 of his surviving plants were female. Strawberry plants can be dioecious, meaning male and female flowers are on separate plants.